In the second of our annual in-services presentations, we'll cover professional etiquette, Legacy's Code of Business Conduct, and our social media policy. Every employee's behavior in the workplace impacts the job satisfaction of other employees, and it affects the reputation of the company. It's our policy to encourage professional etiquette in the workplace. Our policy covers the areas of housekeeping, telephone etiquette, personal phone calls, visits, and mail, and workplace safety, dress code, and hygiene. Legacy expects employees to keep their work areas neat, clean, and free of articles not being used. Keep the equipment clean, properly store materials, and maintain workstations in an orderly manner. Professionalism on the telephone should be exercised at all times. What qualifies as professional etiquette on the phone? It means speaking clearly, slowly, and in a cheerful, professional voice. When you answer the phone, use the name of your department and identify yourself. For example, Legacy Healthcare at Hidden Valley Ranch, Ann speaking. Listen to the caller and what he or she has to say. If you're taking a message, it's a good practice to repeat the information to the caller to be sure you've written it down correctly. Be patient and helpful. If the caller is angry or rude, listen to what he or she says and calmly refer him or her to the appropriate resource. Never argue with a caller, especially if it's a client or family member. Stay focused on the call. Any other conversations should wait until you're off the call. Finally, personal calls and visits should be kept to a minimum. Facility-based employees may not bring children or domestic animals to the worksite without first obtaining written permission from their supervisor and the administrator or executive director of the facility. Only corporate personnel assigned to the Raleigh, North Carolina corporate office may use company letterhead. Company postage may only be used for pre-approved work-related purposes. Legacy expects employees to conduct themselves in a safe manner. Please use good judgment and common sense in matters of safety and observe any safety rules posted in the workplace. Workplace injuries and safety violations must be reported to legal or HR immediately. Legacy's Code of Business Conduct and Ethics summarizes the values, principles, and business practices that guide our business conduct. This code sets out basic principles to guide employees regarding the minimum requirements expected of them. However, this code does not provide a detailed description of all policies. All employees are expected to become familiar with this code, to comply with the code, and to apply these guiding principles in the daily performance of their job responsibilities. All employees are expected to seek advice of their supervisor, manager, or other appropriate persons within the company when questions arise about issues discussed in the code and any other issues that may implicate the ethical standards or integrity of the company or any of its employees. Taking actions to prevent problems is part of our company's culture. If you observe possible unethical or illegal conduct, you're expected to report your concerns. Any employees involved in retaliation will be subject to serious disciplinary action by the company. Failure to abide by the guidelines addressed in this code will lead to disciplinary actions, including dismissal where appropriate. We have a long-standing commitment to conducting our business in compliance with applicable laws and regulations and in accordance with the highest ethical principles. This commitment helps ensure our reputation for honesty, quality, and integrity. A conflict of interest exists when a person's private interest interferes in any way with the interests of the company. A conflict situation can arise when an employee takes actions or has interests that may make it difficult to perform his or her company work objectively and effectively. Conflicts of interest also arise when an employee or a member of his or her family receives improper personal benefits as a result of his or her position in the company, or gains personal enrichment through access to confidential information. Examples include personal loans, services, or payment for services that the person is performing in the course of company business. Employees are encouraged to seek clarification of and discuss questions about potential conflicts of interest with someone in the company's human resources department. Any employee who becomes aware of a conflict or potential conflict should bring it to the attention of his or her supervisor, manager, or other appropriate persons within the company. Although activities outside the company are not necessarily a conflict of interest, a conflict could arise depending upon your position within the company and the company's relationship with the contemplated outside activity. Outside activities also may be a conflict of interest if they cause you, or are perceived to cause you, to choose between that interest and the interests of the company. Employees may not serve as directors of any outside business organization unless approved by senior management. We recognize and commend employees who engage in community service in their local communities and engage in other charitable activities. It is every employee's duty to ensure that all outside activities, even charitable or pro bono activities, do not constitute a conflict of interest. Business gifts and entertainment are designed to build goodwill and sound working relationships among business partners. A problem would arise if the receipt of a gift or entertainment would compromise or could be viewed as compromising that individual's ability to make objective and fair business decisions on behalf of the company, or the offering of a gift or entertainment appears to be an attempt to obtain business through improper means or use improper means to gain any special advantage in our business relationships. Gifts of reasonable value to an employee, such as a gift basket of food, are acceptable offerings and should be shared with the entire team. Please contact your supervisor, manager, or someone in human resources if you question appropriateness of a gift. Employees owe a duty to the company to advance its legitimate interests when the opportunity to do so arises. Employees are prohibited, without the written consent of the President, from taking for themselves personal opportunities that are discovered through the use of corporate property, information, or their position within the company, using corporate property, information, or their position for personal gain, and competing with the company directly or indirectly. The company is committed to providing a work environment that values diversity among its employees. All policies and activities of the company intend to create a respectful workplace in which every individual has the incentive and opportunity to reach his or her highest potential. We are firmly committed to providing equal employment opportunities to all individuals and will not tolerate illegal discrimination or harassment of any kind. Examples include derogatory comments based on age, race, gender, or ethnic characteristics, and unwelcome sexual advances or comments. All levels of supervision are responsible for monitoring and complying with the company's policies and procedures for handling employee complaints concerning harassment or other forms of unlawful discrimination. Contact Legacy's HR or legal department if you know of or suspect discrimination or harassment. The company strives to provide each employee with a safe and healthy work environment. Each employee has a responsibility to ensure that our business operations meet applicable government or company standards, whichever is more stringent. All employees are required to be alert to safety issues and to be familiar with biohazard, health, and safety laws and company policies. As these laws are complex and subject to frequent changes, you should obtain the advice of someone in the company's Human Resources Department whenever there's any doubt as to the lawfulness of any action or inaction. Threats or acts of violence and physical intimidation are not permitted. The use of illegal drugs in the workplace will not be tolerated. Many persons within the company record or prepare some type of information during their workday, such as progress notes, time cards, financial reports, business plans, injury and accident reports, expense reports, and so on. Many people, both within and outside the company, depend upon these reports to be accurate and truthful for a variety of reasons. Legacy requires honest and accurate recording and reporting of information. All financial statements and books, records, and accounts of the company must accurately reflect transactions and events and conform both to required legal requirements and accounting principles. As a company employee, you have the responsibility to ensure that false or intentionally misleading entries are not made by you or anyone who reports to you in the company's records. Falsification of any records, including timesheets, progress notes, billing, financial records, subjects the employee to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Confidential information includes all non-public information that might be of use to competitors or harmful to the company or our customers if disclosed. Employees must maintain the confidentiality of confidential information entrusted to them by the company, except when disclosure is authorized by the company's Human Resources Department or required by laws or regulations. All employees must treat what they learn about our customers and suppliers and each of their businesses as confidential information. Confidential information is information the company would consider private, which is not common knowledge outside of that company, and which an employee of the company has learned as a result of his or her employment by the company. No employee may disclose confidential information to non-employees without the authorization of the company's Human Resources Department. Employees have a responsibility for safeguarding and making proper and efficient use of the company's property. This includes an obligation to protect the company's property from loss, damage, misuse, theft, embezzlement, or destruction. Any situations or incidents that could lead to the theft, loss, misuse, or waste of company property should be reported immediately to your supervisor, manager, or other appropriate persons within the company immediately. Social media includes all means of communicating or posting information or content of any sort on the Internet, including blogs, journals, personal websites, social networking, web bulletin boards, chat rooms, etc., whether or not affiliated with Legacy, as well as any other form of electronic communication. Employees are solely responsible for what they post. Any conduct adversely affecting your job performance, performance of fellow employees, or otherwise adversely affecting Legacy or Legacy's customers may result in disciplinary action. Ensure your postings are consistent with Legacy's Code of Business Conduct and Ethics and policies such as the Confidential Information Policy and the policy prohibiting harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Express only personal opinions. Maintain the confidentiality of Legacy's information, including processes, policies, procedures, clinical programming, customer information, financial information, strategic business plans, and technology. Do not post a link to the Legacy website. Do not use Legacy's logo without express written permission from the VP of Human Resources. Employees are cautioned that they should have no expectation of privacy in the use of company equipment, including computers, phones, cell phones, iPads, etc. Postings online can be viewed by anyone, including Legacy. Legacy reserves the right to monitor comments or discussions about the company, its employees, customers, and industry posted on the Internet by anyone. Employees are strongly encouraged to report any violations of this policy to supervisors, managers, or to Human Resources. Legacy will investigate and respond to all reports of violations. Legacy prohibits employees from retaliating against any person for reporting a possible violation. And just like that, you've finished Part 2 of the annual in-services. Please ask your supervisor or contact our Human Resources Department if you have any questions about the policies we've just covered.